Imagine being able to have all the money you want, but without anyone ever knowing. Would you still desire it? Or what you really want is applause, recognition, the admiration of others? And if the freedom you think you have were just a more comfortable collar, invisible, but still fastened around your neck? Today, you will discover how money reveals who you really are, how it manipulates, exposes, and tests without you noticing, and how Machiavelli would use this against you if he were alive today. Stay with me and learn to see money as the most powerful tool of human nature, a silent weapon that separates the strong from the weak. If topics like psychology, philosophy, and the darkness of the human soul interest you, subscribe to the channel now. It is not money that dominates men. It is the fear of losing it that keeps them chained. Machiavelli knew this intuitively. He understood that wealth, by itself, does not make anyone powerful. It is the silent vulnerability that money provokes, the constant fear that what you own could disappear, that truly shapes behaviors and decides who bows and who stands firm. Money does not demand respect. It provokes anxiety, and the fear it generates is the true chain that keeps most in the illusion of control. The great mistake most people make is confusing wealth with freedom. Having robust bank accounts, properties, expensive cars, or luxury cards does not mean someone is truly free. If your financial security depends on external decisions from a boss, a company, the market, or other policies, you are only a well-fed servant, comfortable but still subordinate. Machiavelli would never fear poverty. He would fear the illusion of wealth sustained by the power of others. Money, when not independent, becomes a facade, a mask covering weakness itself. Many live lives admired on the outside, but unstable on the inside, prisoners of a lifestyle they cannot maintain without the permission of others. They deceive themselves, thinking they are masters of their own destiny. But in reality, each bonus, each investment, each promotion is an invisible rope tying them to the will of others. And this is exactly where fear infiltrates, silently, eroding courage and imposing submission. Machiavelli realized that the strength of money does not lie in who possesses it, but in who it exposes. It is the instrument that reveals character, testing loyalty, ambition, and human weakness. A rich man may be admired, envied, or feared, but his true value is measured by how he responds to abundance. Does he remain calm, strategic, and invisible, or does he give in to ostentation, showing vulnerabilities others will use against him? The Machiavellian understanding of money requires looking beyond luxury and appearance. For him, wealth is an invisible line that crosses societies, connects desires, and manipulates behaviors. It does not need applause or an audience. Its strength is silent, subterranean. Whoever realizes this learns that displaying money is an invitation to manipulation. The more you show, the more you give away the map of your own downfall, the more you allow others to anticipate your moves and exploit your weaknesses. The fear associated with money is not limited to material loss. It infiltrates relationships, contracts, social, and professional bonds. It makes people bow before positions that can be removed, investments that can evaporate, contracts that can be broken. Machiavelli would understand that modern power is not in possessing much, but in not depending on anything that can be taken away. The true fortress is built on independence, not ostentation. Those who understand this logic know that wealth does not need to be displayed to be powerful. A man or woman who masters money in a Machiavellian way builds invisible systems, sources of income that work even without external approval, relationships that do not demand submission, an influence that does not need to be measured. The fear of losing does not affect them, because nothing they own is vulnerable to the hands of others. The power in this case is absolute and silent. Finally, the lesson is clear. It is not the accumulation of money that defines strength, but the way you use it to shape your freedom and test the world around you. The fear of losing it is the key that keeps most submissive, dependent, and predictable. Mastering this dynamic is understanding that money is less an objective than a mirror, revealing the nature of who you are and who observes you. Machiavelli would teach, control the fear, not the money, and you will hold true wealth in your hands. Unshakable autonomy. Displaying wealth is, in the Machiavellian view, the subtlest form of vulnerability. Every shine, every luxury flaunted, every grand gesture is actually an invitation to exploitation. Those who show too much give away their strength before they even need to fight, revealing to the world the exact location of their weaknesses. In the modern era, influencers and social media show-offs are the jesters of the contemporary palace, adorned with flashy ornaments, but eternally dependent on the gaze of others to feel complete. The problem is not having money, but allowing it to speak for you. An expensive car, a luxury trip, an ostentatious lifestyle are not signs of power. They are signs of dependence. The more you need others to see your wealth to validate your existence, the more fragile you become. Machiavelli would understand this as a fatal mistake. Every ostentation is a signature of your own vulnerability, a lamp illuminating your weaknesses for all who know how to look. True power does not shine, it conceals itself. Silent, discreet, and strategic wealth has strength because it offers no target. When no one knows exactly what you own, no one can calculate how to reach you. The less traceable your sources of income, the harder it will be for the outside world to try to destabilize you. Silence, in this context, becomes a weapon. Those who talk too much give too much. Those who remain discreet maintain control. Machiavelli would say that money, when used as an instrument of power, is not for display, but to manipulate and test. Giving favors, offering opportunities, creating situations of dependence or gratitude are ways to reveal character, to understand who is loyal, who is false, and who only seeks the shine of others' wealth. Every discreet gesture, every silent move, is calculated for the world to reveal itself to you without you needing to expose yourself. Modern ostentation creates illusions of power that are fragile by nature. We show followers, likes, cards, cars, but we forget that true control is not in what others see. It is in what remains invisible. Sources of influence that do not depend on applause. Reserves of power that work even without recognition. Relationships that do not break with an unfollow. Machiavelli would see in this difference the line that separates the strong from the weak. Showing too much is giving away the map of your own downfall. Exhibitionism turns money into a target, not a shield. Every symbol of wealth, every act of vanity, is an opportunity for others to calculate your limits, explore your needs, and determine your vulnerability. Machiavelli knew that money was a surgical tool. In the right hands, it reveals. In the wrong hands, it destroys those who expose themselves without caution. The danger of displaying wealth is not limited to the financial sphere. It extends to reputation, social influence, perception of power. The more you need others' approval, the more predictable you become. And predictability, in the Machiavellian logic, is weakness. Those who depend on the gaze of others to feel complete lose autonomy and become vulnerable to subtle manipulations, invisible traps, and silent attacks that can overthrow even those who seem strongest. Therefore, the lesson is this: money that speaks for you is not power, it is exposure. True economic and social power does not shout, does not display, does not seek applause. It remains hidden, built in silence, testing, shaping, and observing the world around it. Machiavelli would teach that mastering this art means understanding that the less others know about your potential, the harder it will be for anyone to destabilize you. Silence is the most powerful fortress you can build. In the hands of someone who understands the Machiavellian logic, ceases to be just a trophy or status symbol. It becomes a lens through which the true human nature is observed. Every reaction to money reveals character. Every decision made in the face of abundance exposes intentions and weaknesses. A gesture of generosity can be a test. An offer of help can be a trap. Machiavelli understood that the value of money is not in what it buys, but in what it discovers about others. Giving money, offering opportunities or rewards is not necessarily an act of kindness. It is a strategy of perception. Those who receive reveal their essence: loyalty, greed, courage, or cowardice. Each person reacts differently, and money functions as a mirror. It reflects who they really are, without disguises, without masks. It is through this mirror that the ally is separated from the opportunist, the true friend from the self-interested, the worthy from the weak. Machiavelli would use money to test limits. He observed how people responded to abundance, how they behaved in the face of conveniences they had not had before. It is at this moment that masks fall and true nature is revealed. A man or woman who remains upright in the face of wealth demonstrates strength. One who allows desire or pride to consume them reveals vulnerability. Money, in this sense, is a scalpel, incisive and ruthless. Wealth, when discreet and strategic, becomes an instrument of silent power. It does not need to be displayed, commented on, or celebrated. Its strength lies in the ability to observe and test. The less others know about what you own, the more powerful you become, because no one can anticipate your moves, predict your decisions, or manipulate your actions. The invisible is the purest form of control. Money also reveals dependencies. By offering opportunities, advantages, or gifts, you perceive who acts out of interest and who acts out of conviction. Those who depend on others' recognition are guided by external rewards. Those who are independent maintain their stance, no matter the stimulus. Machiavelli knew that true economic freedom is not measuring wealth in figures, but understanding how it alters behaviors and relationships. Every act of exposure, every ostentatious demonstration of wealth is a test you submit to or impose on others. The difference between flaunting and revealing lies in intention and control. The exhibitor gives themselves away. The strategist observes. Machiavelli would teach that money, if used wisely, allows you to see through the masks people use to protect, manipulate, or deceive. It is a form of applied psychology, disguised as economics. The secret of money as an instrument of revelation is its strategic neutrality. It does not judge, does not choose sides, does not morally favor anyone. It only exposes. Those who receive react. Those who observe learn. Those who master this mechanism understand that power is not in accumulating for oneself, but in perceiving what each financial gesture reveals about those around them. Money ceases to be an objective and becomes a tool for reading humans. Finally, Machiavelli teaches us that true economic power is not displayed. It is tested. Money that reveals without being seen, measures without being noticed, exposes without destroying, is money that builds silent empires. Those who understand this transform every transaction, every gift, every offer into an opportunity to comprehend, evaluate, and plan. Money, in the hands of a strategist, ceases to be just wealth. It becomes absolute knowledge about the world and about others. The illusion of modern wealth. Most people believe that having money means having freedom. A full bank account, an unlimited credit card, a luxury car, an imposing house. All of this creates the illusion of power. But Machiavelli would realize that this wealth is just a facade. If your possessions depend on the permission of others, you are not free. You are just a well-fed servant, comfortable, yet still chained by the decisions of others. Modern society promotes the idea of conquest but deceives about what it means to own. You may be promoted at work, earn more than ever, have access to opportunities that many envy, but deep down, you remain trapped. Your livelihood depends on contracts that can be broken, bosses who can change their minds, companies that can fail. The appearance of freedom hides true dependence. The illusion of modern wealth creates invisible hostages. The money that seems abundant is actually a chain disguised as comfort. You can pay bills, travel, buy luxury, but if your economic power is not independent, any threat to your livelihood makes you bend. Machiavelli would see this as the heart of modern domination. Control does not need to be explicit. It is enough to create the illusion of abundance to maintain obedience. The problem is not the lack of money, but the lack of autonomy. Having wealth without independence is like living in a golden cell. You are admired, envied, but at the mercy of external factors that can dissolve everything in an instant. Money, when not rooted in freedom, becomes decoration in a luxury prison. Many deceive themselves into thinking they are in control, but their security is always fragile. Machiavelli would not fear poverty, but dependence. He would understand that the greatest danger of illusory wealth is making you believe you are free when, in reality, you are being manipulated. Money confers appearance, not autonomy. You can invest, but you do not control the market. You can work hard, but you do not own the company. You can accumulate, but you do not decide who controls the rules. And this is where the illusion becomes a trap. This dynamic creates silent submission. The modern system does not need to punish explicitly. It is enough to offer comfort and security so that obedience becomes natural. Those who become accustomed to external stability become predictable, dependent, and therefore vulnerable. Machiavelli would see in this the art of controlling without showing force. Money serves as an invisible rope, keeping most people trapped without their noticing. Awakening to this illusion requires awareness of one's own independence. It is not about accumulating more, but about building foundations that do not depend on others. Autonomous sources of income, relationships that do not require submission, influence that does not depend on others' approval. This is the difference between true wealth and illusory wealth. One grants freedom and power, the other only appears to. Finally, Machiavelli's lesson is clear. The appearance of wealth does not guarantee autonomy. Money, when dependent on others, is a chain. When independent, it is a fortress. Understanding this is the first step to becoming truly free and powerful. Those who perceive this difference know that luxury by itself is not conquest. It is only a mirror that can reflect your strength or reveal your weakness. True economic power does not lie in how much you earn, but in how much you need to depend on others to maintain what you have. Machiavelli would teach us that financial freedom is not measured in numbers, but in the ability to sustain your life and decisions without needing the approval or permission of others. Those who depend on others, even if surrounded by luxury, remain submissive. Those who do not depend, even if discreet, govern their own existence. Autonomy is the core of power. Having sources of income that no one can control, investments that work without external supervision, strategic connections that do not require submission. This is the wealth that truly matters. Machiavelli knew that visible abundance can deceive, but true strength is invisible. Those who build silently, without ostentation, accumulate influence that cannot be taken away and respect that cannot be bought. Money, when manipulated intelligently, ceases to be just a resource and becomes an instrument of control. It does not need to be shown to exert power. On the contrary, the less visible it is, the more effective it becomes. Influence that cannot be measured cannot be destroyed, and capital that cannot be tracked cannot be stolen. Machiavelli would understand today that true wealth is strategic, silent, and invisible. This logic requires patience and discretion. Exhibitionism is always a vulnerability, but discreet accumulation is a fortress. Those who understand this dynamic plant seeds that flourish independently of external approval, create systems that resist the unpredictability of the world, and build a foundation of power that remains solid even when others are distracted by the superficial shine of ostentation. Silent power does not seek validation. It observes, tests, and waits. Machiavelli would teach us that every interaction, every transaction, every offer can be used to better understand the world around you. Those who master this art perceive the hidden intentions of others, identify opportunities before they become visible, and control the game without anyone noticing. Money, in this case, is less an objective and more a tool for perception. Dependence is the opposite of power. Many confuse security with freedom, stability with autonomy. Machiavelli would know that a man surrounded by luxury may be the most obedient of servants, and a seemingly discreet person may be the most powerful in the room. The difference lies in who can say no without hesitation, who can act without being influenced, and who maintains their decisions intact, regardless of external rewards or punishments. True economic power also requires strategic vision. It is not about spending, accumulating, or flaunting, but about building an invisible network of resources that sustains your life and expands your reach. Sources that no one controls, influences that no one measures, relationships that resist external pressure. Those who understand this stop fighting for appearances and start acting in a calculated, silent, and definitive manner. In the end, Machiavelli teaches us that the greatest luxury is absolute freedom. Having money is secondary. Having independence is essential. Those who understand that true power lies in autonomy, strategic invisibility, and silent control achieve what many desire but few attain: freedom without compromise, respect without ostentation, and security without fear. Money, in this game, is only the mirror that reveals who knows how to play and who still lets themselves be deceived. True wealth does not need to be seen to exist. Machiavelli understood that money is more than numbers or symbols of status. It is an instrument of silent power that reveals character and builds freedom. Those who understand this know that flaunting is weakness and discreet accumulation is strength. Visible luxury attracts attention and envy, but invisible wealth protects, controls, and transforms without anyone noticing. The secret of invisible wealth lies in strategy. Sources of income that no one tracks, investments that operate independently of others' approval, relationships that do not depend on submission. This is the true economic fortress. Machiavelli would realize that the less others know about your strength, the more you can influence, manipulate, and remain untouchable. Invisibility is power. Invisible wealth allows you to act without haste, without the need for external validation. While exhibitionism demands constant attention and creates vulnerability, the discreet accumulates silent influence. Every step is calculated, every move is safe, every resource is protected. Invisible power does not shout, does not flaunt, does not expose itself. It merely shapes the world around those who know how to observe it. Machiavelli would teach that invisible wealth is not only financial, but also emotional and strategic. Cultivating internal autonomy, social intelligence, and keen perception creates reserves that no visible money can offer. Those who master these reserves can control situations, people, and decisions without relying on applause or recognition. The invisible becomes a battlefield that few see, but that defines who really commands. Money that cannot be tracked cannot be stolen. Influence that cannot be measured cannot be destroyed. A man or woman who builds invisible wealth learns to move pieces on the social board without being noticed. While others compete for attention and approval, they remain in control, testing, observing, and preparing for any eventuality that life or the modern world may impose. This invisibility creates silent respect. People perceive that there is something greater, deeper, that they cannot fully understand. They feel the presence of power without seeing the symbol, perceive authority without finding the target. Machiavelli would understand that silence and discretion are sharper weapons than any display of wealth or ostentation. Those who appear ordinary may, in reality, be incomparably strong. Invisible wealth also protects against modern instability. In today's society, where jobs can be lost, contracts terminated, and assets frozen, relying on external symbols is risky. Those who build silent fortunes and autonomous sources of income ensure freedom even when everything around them changes. True stability lies not in appearance, but in the ability to remain intact in the face of the unpredictable. Finally, Machiavelli teaches us that real power lies in what is not shown. Invisible money is not just a resource. It is a strategic map, a tool for perception, a shield against dependence, and a source of silent respect. Those who understand this stop fighting for recognition and applause and begin to dominate the world around them in a calculated, secure, and absolute way. Invisible wealth is the silent throne of those who truly know how to play. How to shield your freedom and autonomy with money. Shielding your freedom begins with understanding that money alone does not guarantee autonomy. Having impressive sums does not mean being free if every step you take depends on others' decisions. Machiavelli would teach us that true economic power does not lie in how much you possess, but in how much you can act and decide without depending on others. Those who depend, even if surrounded by luxury, remain trapped. The first rule to shield your freedom is to create autonomous sources of income. Do not depend on a single job, contract, or market. Multiply your financial inflows so that none of them can be controlled by others. Those who master this practice turn money into both a shield and a lever, ensuring that their independence is not threatened by others' movements or by the instability of the modern world. The second step is to protect your information and maintain control over your actions. Total transparency is a modern trap. Displaying income, lifestyle, or investments creates targets. Machiavelli would warn that the more people know about you, the easier it is to exploit you. Discretion is not humility, it is strategy. Those who know how to keep their resources secret always remain one step ahead of those who measure only appearances. In addition to money, build emotional and social capital that does not depend on others' approval. Strategic connections, relationships based on trust and not submission. Influence that cannot be measured. These are invisible assets that shield your freedom. True wealth is not only financial. It is the ability to navigate the world without being a hostage to others, to say no without trembling, and to act without asking permission. Another essential tool is silent planning. Machiavelli understood that acting impulsively or flaunting achievements is a sign of weakness. Every investment, every financial decision, every strategic move must be calculated and discreet. Patience and planning transform seemingly modest resources into absolute power, while haste and exhibitionism turn abundance into vulnerability. Control over your own time is also a form of shielding. Financial and social dependence consumes more than money. It consumes freedom. Those who build silent financial autonomy can manage their time without external pressures, without commitments they did not choose, and without having to submit to systems that limit their action. Time and money, when allied, become a fortress. Shielding your freedom also requires emotional resilience. Visible money can be lost, recognition can disappear, and opportunities can dry up. But if your power base is autonomous, built in silence, resilient, and strategic, you remain intact. Machiavelli would understand that true security is not a bank balance, but the ability to maintain independence even when everything around you changes. Finally, true financial autonomy is invisible, strategic, and silent. It is not about flaunting, but about building fortifications that no one sees. Those who master this art transform money into an instrument of freedom, respect, and power. Machiavelli would teach that the greatest luxury is not to possess, but to remain free. The greatest advantage is not to show wealth, but to have enough independence that no one can touch you. Shielding yourself is, therefore, creating strategic invisibility and absolute autonomy. How money reveals human character. Money is, above all, a mirror. It does not create character, but reveals what already exists. Machiavelli understood that abundance exposes intentions, desires, and limits of each individual. Those who react with generosity, even in the face of advantage, demonstrate strength. Those consumed by greed reveal fragility. Money does not lie. It disarms, showing the truth hidden beneath social masks. Each transaction, each favor offered, each opportunity provided functions as a test. Machiavelli used money not to please, but to observe. He knew that true human nature manifests when something is at stake, when there is incentive or temptation. Wealth thus becomes a tool of perception. It reveals who acts out of interest, who acts out of principle, and who only pretends to be loyal. Money also separates allies from opportunists. Those who are loyal do not seek immediate benefit. The self-interested calculate every gesture. Abundance clarifies who possesses strategic vision, patience, and self-control, and who succumbs to emotion or instant desire. Machiavelli would understand that wealth is less about accumulation and more about observing how others handle it. Offering resources without expectation of return is a silent experiment. Those who receive react unconsciously, showing character, values, and priorities. What seems generosity is actually a test. Money acts as a scalpel, separating those who can be trusted from those who only seek to exploit. Reactions to economic power reveal hidden intentions and strengthen or destroy alliances. Moreover, money exposes internal weaknesses. Those who allow themselves to be dominated by envy, fear of loss, or vanity reveal vulnerability. Machiavelli would perceive that true strength is not in quantity possessed, but in the ability to maintain balance, prudence, and discretion. Wealth functions as a filter. Those who remain upright stay in control. Those who give in to temptation expose themselves. Silent power, applied intelligently, transforms money into a learning tool. Each economic decision, each strategic move, and each discreet offer serves to study behavior. Machiavelli would teach that wealth is not just an end or means. It is a tool of observation, allowing almost surgical understanding of patterns, intentions, and social hierarchies. Those who master this art understand that money is not neutral. It tests, reveals, and strengthens. An apparently simple gesture can have profound effects, exposing who acts out of interest, fear, or loyalty. Silent abundance is more powerful than flaunting wealth because while exhibitionism attracts attention and envy, invisible wealth reveals and controls, becoming an extension of the strategic mind. Finally, Machiavelli would teach us that true economic power lies in the ability to use money to understand the world and people around you. It is not only for possession, but to observe, filter, and decide. Wealth reveals human character mercilessly. It separates the weak from the strong, the sincere from the opportunistic, the independent from the dependent. Those who understand this transform every resource into an instrument of vision, control, and silent power. Now that you understand how money reveals character, tests intentions, and builds freedom, the choice is yours. Continue following the illusion of visible wealth or walk the silent path of true autonomy, accumulating power, influence, and independence without needing to flaunt, without depending on anyone. If you want to learn to play this game strategically and become immune to the traps of the modern world, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and start mastering your life as bourgeois. Machiavelli would teach. These two videos in front of you are not here by chance. What if everything you believe about yourself, is just a reflection of someone else's gaze? Click now on one of the videos beside you and start breaking this mirror. You will have to risk the click. So, which one will you choose?